This week on Art in the Air, we feature the revitalized Hobart Art Theatre with Shane Evans. Next, local band Nomad Planets with Mark Mybeck and John Carpenter, who is also owner of Thunderclap Recording Studio. Our spotlight is on the Indiana Ballet Theatre with artistic director Gloria Tuohy and the upcoming production of Sleeping Beauty, plus progress on the Classical Arts Center.
Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. You're in the know with Esther and Larry. Art on the air today. Stay in the know with Larry and Esther. Art on the air our way. Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. Express yourself through art and show the world your heart.
Welcome. You're listening to Art on the Air on WVLP 103.1 FM and Lakeshore Public Radio 89.1 FM, our weekly program covering arts and arts events throughout Northwest Indiana and beyond. I'm Larry Breckner of New Perspectives Photography, right alongside here with Esther Golden of The Nest in Michigan City.
Aloha, everyone.
We're your hosts for Art on the Air. Art on the Air is supported by an Indiana Arts Commission Arts Project grant through South Shore Arts and the National Endowment for the Arts. Art on the Air streams live at WVLP.org and is rebroadcast on Monday at 5 p.m., plus is also heard on Lakeshore Public Radio 89.1 FM every Sunday at 7 p.m., also streaming live at lakeshorepublicradio.org, and is available on Lakeshore Public Radio's website as a podcast. Our spotlight interviews are also heard Wednesdays on Lakeshore Public Radio. Information about Art on the Air is available at our website, breck.com/AOTA. That's Breck, BRECH.com/AOTA. That includes a complete show archive, spotlight interviews, plus our show is available on multiple podcast platforms, including NPR One. Please like us on Facebook, Art on the Air, WVLP, for information about upcoming shows and interviews. And we'd like to welcome back to Art in the Air Spotlight someone who's been with us several times before from the Indiana Ballet Theatre. She's our founder and has many, many things to talk about and coming up in the spring here. Gloria Tuohy, welcome back to Art in the Air Spotlight.
Aloha, Gloria.
Thank you. Hello.
So you have some busy things coming up in April here and actually all the way through spring into summer. So tell us a little bit about some of those, Gloria.
Okay. We have April 29th, the last weekend in April. It's actually Friday, Saturday. We're at IUN with Sleeping Beauty. So, in fact, our first school field trip is sold out. But we have one at 12 o'clock. Then we have general performance at 7. And then on the 30th, we'll be at 1 and 5 p.m. for general admission. So
new theater at the Arts and Science Building on the second floor in Broadway. So I'm a little bit familiar with that building.
Right. Yeah. So we have people coming in from South Carolina and Chicago, as well as our wonderful company and kids that auditioned in from the public. So, wonderful show.
How many do you have in the cast?
Oh, we have about 90.
Oh, wow.
So are the costumes done in-house, or do you bring them in?
No, in-house we have 9 ballets of costumes, so everything's in-house, yes.
Now, you have something new at Chicago Street Theater in Valparaiso coming up.
We do. We have Kaleidoscope on May the 27th and 28th. And this is an amazing show this year because we have faculty from different universities. We have Columbia College and Valparaiso University. And then we have some guests coming in from Linwood University in Missouri and some alumni coming back. So it'll be a wonderful, wonderful show.
And it's going to be more contemporary ballet type things with that one?
Yes, this is mostly contemporary and modern performing, so very magical. And I think everybody leaves breathless. They really enjoy it. So at least Amanda, who's the artistic director for that show, feels that's what happens. So
does Amanda do this? Is it Amanda's vision for the set design for that as well?
Yes, Amanda's the main person in that. But like I say, we have Selena Ellish from Valparaiso University is also part of getting involved this year. So it'll be a wonderful show.
So summer comes around and, kids are out of school, but you have something for them that they can do.
We do. As well as regular summer classes, we also have kids camp, and it's themed like Encanto. So the kids will have a wonderful time in June, and all 3 studio locations will have this workshop. And so they need to go to our website to see more about it. Otherwise,
go ahead and tell us the website address.
Yeah, website address is ibtnw.org.
What is the age range for kids camp?
Oh, we start at age 5 and through about age 9. So,
lovely.
And they'll have an ice cream social and a performance at the end. So they have a wonderful time.
And you said you had other kids classes going on through the summer.
Yeah. So July the 5th through August the 2nd, we'll have classes for every kind of genre you can think of, including Irish dancing. So that the kids always have a wonderful time. Well, through adults, we also accompany dancers all summer long. So many of them are going away to very prestigious workshops this year.
Excellent. And we'll jump ahead for a little bit. In December, you're going to bring back Nutcracker, and we'll talk about that probably at a later date, but that's your plan?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So last year, IUN actually invited us to perform it there, and so I'm sure we'll be back there again this year.
So can you tell us about what's happening with the Classical Arts Center these days?
Yes, this renovation of the historic sanitarium nurses' home will actually be completed within less than a year now. We'll be going into there, and it will feature 80-seat theater museum about the nurses that lived in there, and a tea room, wonderful sculptures, and it will be home for Indiana Ballet Theatre as well as visual, performing, culinary arts. And the South Shore Arts is hoping to locate a little bit in there as well. And Peter Townsend with his heritage collection. So, and Jackie Primus is going to do the culinary arts. So we're looking forward to this being a destination as well as a cultural center.
And so you will have, with the South Shore Arts, a visual arts component to exhibits and everything there. So
visual, performing, and culinary. Yeah.
Lovely.
It sounds wonderful. And you think your completion is about next year?
Well, we're going to shoot for May or June of next year. So right around this time next year.
And people still can contribute to the project because it's contributions this is funded mostly from contributions. Is that correct?
All places, yes. Anyone. You can put your name in a window, or a message for a loved one that you don't still have around with you. Many ways you could contribute. And amazingly enough, we had people from Michigan donate an amazing amount of money. So, and that's because they saw this historic landmark in a magazine. It was just wonderful.
Well, we appreciate you coming on Art in the Air Spotlight. That's Gloria Tuohy from the Indiana Ballet Theatre. Sleeping Beauty in April, Kaleidoscope in May, and Kids Camp and things, and of course Nutcracker way back in December. Thank you so much for coming on Art on the Air Spotlight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria.
You're welcome.
This is Pledge Week for your public radio station. And Art on the Air encourages our loyal listeners to support this station by making a monthly sustaining pledge so we may continue to bring you this great program. You're listening to Art on the Air, WVLP 103.1 FM, and on Lakeshore Public Radio 89.1 FM. And we'd like to welcome to Art on the Air. The new Hobart Art Theatre has been actually there since 1940. It's an entertainment venue and has seen a revitalization under the new ownership in 2019. It takes great pride in bringing musical acts to the region, a whole bunch of different ones we'll talk about. It's a little 400-seat theater there. Got a private green room, seating, VIP seating, and actually has a full bar with beer and spirits and a great sound and lighting system. And the now owner, entrepreneur, and proprietor of the whole place is Shane Evans. Welcome to Art on the Air.
Thank you, Larry. I'm glad to be here. I know we've been trying to make this happen for a little while now, so it's nice to finally meet you both in person, as we'll call it right now. But glad to be here and glad to talk about this great venue that we have here in downtown Hobart.
Well, Shane, we really want to know a little bit about you and kind of your background and, like I always like to say, how you got from where you were to where you are now. So tell us all about that.
Well, I'll keep it hopefully here short and sweet. You know, I grew up here in Hobart. You know, I was born and raised in Hobart. Pretty much lived here almost all my life at this point, which is 44 great years. But yeah, I went to Hobart High School. You know, I grew up in a very musically driven family. Music was always a big part of our home, what we did. And as I became a teen, you know, I started going to concerts and seeing bands, and I obviously developed then a real passion and love for music, and played in bands throughout my teen years, 20s. Yep.
So you do play in bands? You did play in bands?
I did.
What was your instrument?
Not so much anymore. I'm a drummer. Played the drums. So yeah, I don't do it anymore. You know, this is the first time in my life with this venue that I don't have that itch inside of me anymore to go out and play.
It's called exhaustion.
That's part of it. And you know, I get so much of it here now. You know what I mean? There's every weekend. I mean, during there's constantly bands, so I'm always around it. So it kind of feeds that need for me in music to be in this room.
Yeah,
you know.
So filling.
So yeah, music's always been part of what I do. Me personally, prior to ownership of the building, I of course, you know, did some college time, and then after that, I worked for Lowe's Home Improvement for almost 20 years as a store manager. And got to a point in my career, you know, I turned 40, and I don't know if that's the make or break age for people, but I decided I needed to do something for me. I wanted to work for me. I wanted to follow my passion in life, and you know, life is short, and you know, you bleed for a corporation, and that's exactly what it is. So I hung it up. I retired essentially after 20 years. And took all my money I had saved and put it into this venue, and here we are now. You know, pandemic of course slowed us down a bit, but we're doing great. You know, and things are going really well. So we're very happy to be relevant still.
So when you were growing up in Hobart, did you pass by the theater and sort of dream about it at all, or was this a big surprise? Like, how did that whole pass by the theater? Oh my gosh, I'm going to own this.
Yeah, I mean that's a great question. Yeah, I mean I came here as a kid to see movies. You know what I mean? My first date as a younger boy was here with a girl in a movie. You know, so yeah, I mean this theater has been a part of this obviously community, like Larry said, since 1940. You know, so there's been a lot of history here, and I spent a lot of time here, and I had a friend approach me. Hey, you know, she's like, hey, the theater is for sale. I think you'd be great to buy it and turn it into a music venue. It wasn't even my idea. And I'm like, I kind of scoffed at it. And then I really thought about it. I had some long conversations with my family, and I just decided to pull the trigger. And within 2 weeks, I had made the decision, left my job, and bought the theater. So,
so how much have you kept historical, and how much? I mean, what is the renovation entailed?
Yeah, most of the renovation, you know, I mean, we have a lot of plans still. Don't get me wrong. You know, you're kind of dealing with facilities from the 40s is tough. But we had to come in and do a lot of the work that you don't see. You know, the electrical system was insane. So that was first and foremost, was updating power, and then getting production here, whether it be sound, lights, all those particulars getting done, and that was the bulk of the initial renovations. Did some work in our green room downstairs, which used to be an actual old coal furnace down there. So a lot of work when you're dealing with a building of this age. But we're now getting ready to plan some of the more aesthetic upgrades that we're planning now. So there's more to come.
You know, on the technical issue, luckily with LED lighting, you no longer have to put quite the heavy lighting circuits. I assume you have LED lighting if you're going from scratch, but you don't have quite the same thing. So you put a whole new lighting rig in, sound system?
Absolutely. I mean, you can't see too much of it behind me here, but I wanted to get some perception of it. But yeah, I mean, that was, I mean, you know, we've all been to concerts. You know, we all remember those takeaways from shows where It sounded great. It looked phenomenal. You know what I mean? That's important. So it was important for us to come in here and create that with a small town atmosphere. So, we didn't spare any expense when it came to sound and lights. That's what this is all about. So, first and foremost was electrical upgrades, sound and lighting, and that was a huge undertaking and expense on its own.
So what type of group?
After 17 years at Lowe's, were they generous?
It's one of the. It's like any company, the harder you work, the more you get out of it, So
I kind of meant with the renovation.
I'm sorry.
I'm talking about like renovation stuff. I mean,
no.
No.
No, I mean, we kind of had to go different routes. We had to get with some larger, production companies based out of, Chicago, that do this kind of stuff, for a living daily. So they came in here and advised us on what we had to do on power and circuitry, things of that nature, and we just went for it, once we got our stride really going, that's when the pandemic hit and we kind of had to rethink things, but ultimately, it was partnering with some people that I had known in the business for many years that really helped us out and get going to that initial launch point.
So tell us about some of the acts that you have, and I mean, you have almost something at least one or two a week. And then how do you, when you first got the venue up and running, how you first attracted them there, and then some of the ongoing acts that you have.
I've been saying this from day one. It's about who you surround yourself with in this business. You know what I mean? And I work really hard to surround myself with great people. We have some in-house talent buyers that work for me directly. And then I have a couple groups that I work with. One kind of focuses on rock bands, one focuses on country bands, one focuses on comedy acts. You know what I mean? So without putting too many hands in the pot, we have a few great people that we work with that we work hand in hand with essentially to bring in those acts and go after these bigger national talents. And once you have some in, that really love the room, they love the sound, they love hospitality and how they were treated, they then go back to their management companies and say, hey, this room was great, the service was great, the sound and lights were great. Well, then they in turn start pushing other bands into the room too, So, we work really hard to ensure all of our acts are taken care of on a high level, and that their management companies know that too, So, it's not just me; it's a great group of people, and we continue to develop and nurture those relationships just as we go.
So Shane, when did you start up again with having acts, and how did you, with the pandemic, how did you segue into opening up the house?
It was tricky. There's no playbook for any of this. You know what I mean? And I'm sure you guys felt it on your end with certain things as well, of course. Obviously we're doing the Zoom meetings now. You know what I mean? So things are different. But we were, one thing with this business is, we are not essential. That's the battle you fight. You have to go get groceries. You have to do certain things. You don't have to go see live entertainment. So, we were the first industry to shut down and the last to fully open. So we really had a long stretcher that we had to deal with. But, we fought with and against rather the county and state guidelines. We worked with them to ensure we were following their restrictions and capacity and masks and sanitation, and whatever they would allow us to do, we would do, and we had to petition them at certain times and tell them our safety plans for events, and they would have to approve it or not honor it. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was a long road, it was a good, 18 months at this point of really figuring out what's going to work, what people are going to come out to see, because there's certain demographics of people over others that, hey, I'm going to stay home now for a while, or you know what, I'm ready to go out to shows. So we kind of had to figure that out a little bit without overspending on paying for certain acts to where we could still be profitable.
I know that was that's going to be sort of my next query is, so with a 360 seated house, those first shows, what were you required? I mean, how many seats could you fill safely?
Yeah, I mean, they kind of started at I want to say it was like 25% capacity,
Mm.
so for our overall capacity here is 525. So we kind of started doing some small events, with about 100 to 150 people, and they were doing really, really great. So it's like, wow, can we, we want this to lift more, and as things lifted and went from 25% to 50% and so on, we pushed those boundaries. But again, it's still, what do we do to keep our guests feeling comfortable and feeling safe? We're a pretty big space. We would block off aisles, block off sections, sell every other row of seats, space them out, set tables in certain areas. It kind of gives me anxiety still just talking about it, just everything that we had to do in order to bring people into the room. But, this is what we do. We're committed to that. We were going to find ways to make it happen no matter what.
Now, you have another source of revenue is that you have actually a full-service bar there that's associated with that. Now, is that part of your operation, or is that a separate thing that's just associated with you?
Yeah, my business partner and I, we own both sides of the business. So, of course, we have the art theater. Next door to us, it's called the Brick House Bar and Grill. It originally was a storage unit for the theater. Their management used it as kind of like an office area, a storage area, just a throw it all area. And some previous ownership to us, eventually came in, cleared that area out, put in some, ventilation, plumbing, and things like that for a kitchen type setup. And we've since just kind of taken it to the next level, enhanced those options, enhanced our menu. And I mean, it works great, especially on show nights when you have so many people coming in town. They're always eager to give us a try, come next door. And, another perk of it, too, is it helps with our hospitality with our bands.
Right.
Bands that are traveling, that they're coming off the road to eat, drink, whatever. We have a full kitchen right here that really helps with that, So it definitely brings, a couple different benefits to us.
Yes, you
So
don't
your partner is Blake Gillespie? Is that?
Yeah. Blake and I have been friends for many, many years. I actually met him when I was at Lowe's. He was a customer redoing his home and in Munster. And we became really close friends, developed a great working relationship together through Lowe's and through what he was doing. And, had talked about for years about a project that we thought we would do on our own at some point. And this came out. I talked to him about it. He was all about it. He was at a point in his career where he was officially retiring after 25 years. He was in the paper business, distributing paper to, phone book companies, things of that nature. And we know how that business is now. Everything's gone digital, so he was kind of pushed into a forced retirement after 25 years. And we jumped on this, and he's kind of the foodie guy. He owns and operates a Filipino grocery store in Highland as well. So he really enjoys the food aspect of it, the hospitality of it, new menu items, all that kind of stuff. As to where I kind of like to just eat it. You know what I mean? I'm good.
Well, that's a good partnership.
Yeah.
So we want to talk about some of the acts that are coming in that have been there. And then since this will air in April, early April, tell us about what we can come up seeing there in April. But tell us about some of the things you have. I know you talk about them generically, like comedians and things like that. And the other part of that question is, can people rent your space for events? So let's talk about all those.
Yeah. So, I mean, coming up in April here, I mean, we try to, we pack our schedule, we just don't try to just do weekends. You know what I mean? If you just stick to weekends, you're kind of missing the boat on some of these bands that travel and come through our area during the weekdays. So, just kind of looking at it real quick through April, we have Alex Williams, who is, kind of like a country pop rock type guy coming through beginning of April. John Karabi, who used to be in Motley Crue. He replaced Vince Neil for a time in Motley Crue. John Karabi's coming through on a show. We have a very big metal band. They're called Wednesday 13. That show is selling very well for us. And that's a weekday. That's a Wednesday night. So another good one that people like, April 22nd, April 23rd, we have Kashmir, which some friends of ours locally, that's a Led Zeppelin tribute. And then April 23rd, we have a band called Night Moves, which is a Bob Seger tribute, which I love Bob Seger. Then we get in towards the end of April. We have a band from probably early 2000s called the Cottonmouth Kings. They're a national act, a bigger kind of rap rock type band. And then April 29th, we have Journey Recaptured, which is a tribute to Journey. So, I mean, looking at that list, you can kind of see it kind of hits many, demographics through the month of April.
Such a variety you have there. I mean, some musical
fundraisers and all sorts of.
Yeah. We have a fundraiser coming up this weekend, obviously. But, that was a mission of mine, was to keep this room eclectic. You know what I mean? To not just focus on, rock bands or metal bands or whatever. We do it all. We have some great country shows coming up. We have the Wailers coming up next week, which is Bob Marley's band. So there's just a broad range of things that we go after. If I just book the room to what I like, we're probably not going to be that successful. So I have to think about what everybody likes and what people want to see and hear, and that's worked for us.
Shane, who do you collaborate on that? Do you like when your rock and roll person or your country person says, "Hey, I want you to look at this"? Then you listen, and then do you listen with someone else, or are you the last word?
Ultimately, I'm gonna be the last word.
Well, yeah, of course.
But it's very rare that I veto something from not happening. I mean, let's not be naive here. There's acts out there, whether it's comedic acts or rock acts, that can trigger certain people to feel a certain way, or their name of their band might be something offensive at times. You know what I mean? But I look past that. I look more at the art of it. You know what I mean? What do they bring into the table? How talented are they? But the people that we work with now, I've developed enough of a relationship with them that I trust what they're bringing to the table. You know what I mean? They're in the business too. They all have a brand of their own that they want to see be successful. So the acts that they bring in and we collaborate on. Sorry, I lost my screen there. I really trust them. They do a great job, and things up to this point have been successful.
So you mentioned that you consulted with your family before you did this. Are they also involved in the business?
My wife and I have taken a stance kind of from the beginning that we really keep things separate. You know what I mean? She has her career, she has her job, and I don't get too involved in that, and the same here. You know what I mean? I'll admit it. I can be a type A personality, and sometimes might not be always fun to work for. So we kind of keep our home life separate and our work life separate. You know what I mean? Now, she's helped out here a handful of times, whether it's working with our staff to serve some drinks or help clean up or whatever. And my son, he's 14, so I've had him selling merchandise for bands a couple times and things like that. So I mean, they enjoy being here. My wife enjoys more of coming and sitting with her friends and watching a show rather than having to work hand in hand with Shane sometimes. So we've made that work together so far.
Is the bar and grill open? Like, what's its hours? Is it open outside of the theater hours?
Yeah. It's open 6 days a week. We open at 3 p.m. daily. Of course, we'll expand hours coming up here in spring and summer a little bit, but every day we're open at least at 3 p.m. For lunch, dinner service, and everything in between. People can come in there and buy tickets for shows. People still like to buy that hard ticket. You know what I mean? Yeah. So they can come in there and purchase tickets as well.
Can you tell them how to get in touch with you or the theater?
Yes, absolutely. So, of course, we're in that digital age now, so everything, most things are online. So our website is brickartlive.com. Again, that's brickartlive.com. They can go there. They can see a full listing of shows, buy tickets for every show directly through there, see the full menu for the bar and grill, and then there's also ways that they can connect with us through that website as well. Outside of that, of course, the Hobart Art Theatre through Facebook, Instagram, things of that nature. You give that a quick search, it's going to pop up with a lot of cool stuff.
Real quick, since we can't, this is radio and can't show the menu, tell us some of the things that you can do on your grill menu real quick.
We kind of do, I would call it more of a gastropub type, I mean, more of a gourmet burger. We take pride in not freezing all of our food. Of course, some deep fried items will be frozen, but gourmet burgers. Obviously this week, we got a big corned beef sale going on. But we got some seafood selections with some great shrimp, things of that nature, great sandwiches, and we're always kind of adding to it and trying new things as well. So definitely not your traditional pub fare. We're definitely an upscale type bar and grill for sure.
And finding parking, I know you're like wedged right into the main street there and downtown. So where can people find parking to get to the theater?
So there's about 5 or 6 public lots all within a block or two of our business. So we have a map on our website. We usually put a map on the show page for our social media as well. So it's all free public parking. And there's about 4 or 5 public lots all around our area. I mean, if you remember back in the day at Bricky Bowl, which is just a block away from us, there used to be 10,000 people at those football games. We're in the same neighborhood. If they can fit 10,000, I can fit 500. So we generally don't have too many issues with that, but all free parking, all local within a block or two.
Very good. Well, we have just about a moment here left. That was Shane Evans. He's from the wonderful theater there, the Hobart Art Theatre. Took it over in 2019. It's at 230 Main Street in Hobart. You can find him at brickartlive.com. That's brickartlive.com, and also on Facebook. And you can find out all what's coming up in their shows. Lots of great stuff, comedy. Shane, thank you so much for being on Art on the Air.
Thank
My
you,
pleasure.
Shane.
Thank you.
This is Pledge Week for your public radio station. And Art on the Air encourages our loyal listeners to support this station by making a monthly sustaining pledge so we may continue to bring you this great program. You're listening to Art on the Air, WVLP 103.1 FM, and on Lakeshore Public Radio 89.1 FM.
Daddy's little secret has been compromised. Space meets time, the numbers climb. Is anybody listening on the production line? I say when. In one more moment, I'll be coming to get you. I won't let them walk away with your cold, dark heart. Calling all cars we're invisible. In the restaurants and bars we're invisible. Staking our claims we're invisible. Fanning the flames we're invisible. Rise and shine, open your eyes. Daddy's little secret has been compromised. Space meets time, the numbers climb. Is anybody listening on the production line? Calling all cars we're restaurants and bars we're invisible. Sticking our claims we're invisible. Fanning the flames we're invisible.
was Rise and Shine from our guest Nomad Planets. And we'd like to welcome to Art in the Air musicians and recording studio. They are part of the Nomad Planets. They've been all over Northwest Indiana. You can hear them on Facebook. They have a connection. And also we're going to be talking about Thunderclap Recording Studio. They are the people that are involved in it. Please welcome Mark Mybeck and John Carpenter, the recording studio. Thank you so much for coming to Art on the Air.
Aloha. Thank you.
Hey, thank you very much for having us.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
So first we're going to start with you, Mark. Tell us a little about your background. I always like to say how you got from where you were to where you are now. And I know we talked just briefly off air, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, Lab Schwann Recording Studio in the 70s recorded you when you were at Gavitt High School. So tell us about your whole origins with music.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like I said, how things come around. Had bands in school that really just kind of played at Gavitt for a couple different things. And then back in those days, I didn't play guitar. I started learning guitar after I graduated from high school and then went to Indiana State and really didn't do a whole lot with music down there other than playing with a couple friends. And then graduated and kind of started writing terrible songs. But, you know, I started writing. And probably 10 years later is when I met Phil Rapchak, who is our bass player, and he and I worked at a print shop together and immediately hit it off. We started kind of bonding instantly over the types of music we liked, and we both had insecurities about playing in front of people and doing original music, so we kind of complemented each other in that regard. He and I started a band called Whistling Jupiters that lasted for, 6-7 years and played out, recorded. Started recording here at Thunderclap on the advice of a coworker in 1991, I think, back in the days when cassette tapes, demo tapes were what you did. And when Whistling Jupiters kind of broke up, Phil and I started Nomad Planets. John came into the fold very organically because he had recorded everything we did. We started recording our first CD, and that was in, I think, 2001, 1999. And we've been at it ever since.
So, Mark, have you enjoyed astronomy since you were a child? I mean, everything seems to Whistling Jupiters and Nomad Planets.
No, you know, Whistling Jupiters was it's that firework that goes up in the air and makes that whistling sound, and it's like the name of that. And then for Nomad Planets, Phil and I literally were on the phone one night just trying to figure out a name. We're talking for about half an hour, and we threw those words out, and it stuck. But yes, since then, it makes a whole lot of sense to be out in space for many, many reasons.
So let's pass it on over to John and tell us a little bit about your origin story, how you got from where you were to where you are now and everything, and how that developed into Thunderclap Studio.
Well, I grew up in Hammond, Indiana, of course. And my parents had I kind of grew up in a household that was self-employed. My parents had a restaurant. It was a fast food chicken restaurant originally called Chicken Delight, and then they went independent, changing the name to Chicken Galore. And so I was always around self-employed people. You know, that's how I grew up, and it just kind of, I guess it just kind of rubbed off on me. And through the years, you know, I've worked for other people, but just never really enjoyed working for other people. And just wanted to do my own thing. And so I took over the restaurant business for a little while when my parents were starting to get out of it. Ran that for a while and then ended up selling that. And that's when I started the studio. Took a little bit of the proceeds from the sale and was able to buy some just beginning equipment. I had a partner when I first started that supplied the space, and kind of started from there. Very small, and worked with bands that were just starting out, and just grew it from there. And with the help of my wife, she worked up in Chicago, and she was a great support during that, you know, beginning stages of a business. Anytime you start a business, it's, you know, they say it takes 5 to 6 years to get on your feet. And that's exactly what it was. It was about 6 years before I, really started making a little bit of a living from it, and just kept reinvesting. I knew how important that was to keep upgrading your equipment and as well as your skills. And so now I've been doing it for 32 years. I'm in my 32nd year of doing it. Worked with a lot of bands around the area over the years. I've worked with institutions, Purdue, Valpo, Rayzell University, worked with Field Museum. They had tapes from the Amazon that they recorded during the 40s. And it was the most unusual sounds that you've ever heard. And they hired me to transfer those tapes to digital media for them. So that was a really interesting job. But, the bulk of my work from the studio has been local bands, and which I've really, really enjoyed. I love the creativity of artists and musicians, and there's a lot of really good musicians in Northwest Indiana. And then, like Mark said, the way I got into Nomad Planets is that we had worked together for several years, and I'd recorded them as when they were Whistling Jupiters, and always liked what Mark wrote. He's developed into such a good songwriter and such a great lyricist. And so when, like Mark said, it was very organic. I just kind of folded myself into the band, and we've been together ever since as a band. It's been 22 years or something like 25 years. I don't know, but
so during this time, this 2 years almost of this pause, how has the band been rehearsing? Have you had small gigs recently?
It was a tough time, I must say, because when everything shut down, Thunderclap shut down from having people come in, and we always rehearsed here at Thunderclap. The band always rehearses here, and I record all of our rehearsals. That's where we sometimes come up with some of our material. But when the pandemic started, we shut down, and it was quite difficult. We didn't play for
we had one show. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, we had one show in August of 19, whatever year that was that it started, 20. And so we came in. John was kind enough to have us come in and rehearse for that. And we had a bunch of stuff scheduled that got canceled, obviously. But it was an outdoor gig in Valpo at Aberdeen, and so we did two rehearsals, and then we shut down, and then we came back. Maybe toward the end of that year or beginning of 21. It's hard to remember at this point. But yeah, just like all the other bands around here, nothing was going on.
So how was your personal discipline, though? Were you practicing, or did you?
Yeah, I have a mind that writes all the time, for better or for worse. And so, yeah, I took the opportunity to just keep writing. In fact, I'm recording some solo stuff at John's now. Some of those songs go back 10 years. Some of them are 3 months old. And a lot of that is from that pandemic period where I just needed to keep my mind active and keep playing. So, that's kind of what I did. And we certainly kept in communication. We've been friends for a very long time. So it's not like we didn't see each other or talk to each other, but it was rough. John and I got together and played acoustic guitars a couple times in the driveway in the summer. But nothing face to face because, you didn't know what was going on at that time.
Just didn't know, right?
I asked the Lord to cover me in this land of opportunity. She buried me out in the sticks. It hit me like a ton of bricks. It's a 1 down and a 2 down. Brings us right round to a showdown. I said, why must we repeat our fate? She said, give me room to operate. War ain't what it used to be. opportunity. It's a 1 down and a 2 down. Brings us right round to the showdown. Devil's waiting till the moon is high to offer up a vacancy in his brand of opportunity. It's a 1 down and a 2 down. Brings us right around to a showdown. It's a 1 down and a 2 down. Brings us right round to the showdown.
You're listening to Art on the Air, WVLP 103.1 FM, and on Lakeshore Public Radio 89.1 FM. A quick question for John. Tell us a little bit about your studio. Did you start out in the tape era and now obviously you're digital, and just a little bit about what you have in studio if someone's interested in coming to record at Thunderclap?
Yeah, just pre-Thunderclap, before I started the business, I was working on a Fostex 1/4-inch reel-to-reel deck, 8 tracks on 1/4-inch. So it wasn't a great deck, but it was good enough to get ideas down and good enough to just begin the process of learning what I could do with this stuff. And from there, once I did start the business, I started with a 16-track half-inch machine, the Tascam half-inch machine, and a board. I just had 2 rooms in a basement, and that's how I started. And then slowly expanded into the studio is in the basement of my house. So I slowly expanded from those 2 rooms in the basement to taking over the whole basement. I pretty much use the whole basement now for the studio. And everything's been remodeled. From the first tape deck, then I went to AOTA machines, which were horrors. It was my first attempt at digital media, and this the tapes they were always messing up, and the sound quality was not the greatest, but it was okay. And then I went through all the different various incarnations of the AOTA machine, and then from there I went to a Mackie hard drive machine, and then from there I went to Pro Tools, and I've been with Pro Tools ever since. And I think it was 2002 when I first went to Pro Tools. And then I've just been upgrading my equipment as I've gone along.
Excellent. Back to Mark real quick, and we're going to have to wrap up here in about a minute here. Tell us what's on the future agenda for Nomad Planets in terms of your upcoming dates in April, May, and so on and so forth real quick.
April 16th at Northwood Falls. They reopened out there. It's beautiful. May 7th at 18th Street Brewery in Hammond. June 26th at, I think, St. Thomas More Fest. So, and then beyond, there are some things that are not quite booked, but that we will hope to be doing outside fests that we normally do every year. We're recording again. I think we got 6 songs that are ready to pretty much mix and master for the most part. And then we got another 6 or 7 originals that we're going to be working on, recording one of them tonight. So it's really, really good to be working back in the studio and getting things together again. And we, for real, no joke, we love the 4 of us, love playing together. Chris Grove, who some of you might know, has joined on playing keyboards with us for the past couple of years. It's a really good working environment. We just love making music together.
Very good. Real quick, websites, how we can find out Nomad Planets and Thunderclap.
Well, the best way for Nomad Planets is to just go out to the Facebook machine there or Reverb Nation and search Nomad Planets. Our website, if you go to nomadplanets.com, you certainly can, but you're not going to find anything updated there. I lost interest in that a long time ago. As I got older, it was like, oh, well, how do I do this again? And then John?
Same thing with me. Facebook is the best way to see what's going on with Thunderclap Thunderclap Recording at Facebook
and YouTube channel.
And the Thunderclap Recording YouTube channel as well. I do post new things, new songs and videos on that channel.
Well, we'd like to thank you both for coming on Art in the Air. That's John Carpenter and Mark Mybeck, Nomad Planets, and also Thunderclap Recording Studio. Thank you so much for sharing your stories on Art on the Air.
Thank you so much.
Have a great year.
You too. Thanks a lot.
And we continue listening to Nomad Planets with our guests John Carpenter and Mark Mybeck. This is their version, Love Song. been listening to Art in the Air, and we'd like to thank our guests this week on WVLP 103.1 FM and Lakeshore Public Radio 89.1 FM, our weekly program covering arts and arts events throughout Northwest Indiana and beyond. Art in the Air is heard every Friday at 11 a.m. and rebroadcast Monday at 5 p.m. on WVLP. Art in the Air streams live at WVLP.org and is rebroadcast on Monday at 5 p.m. Plus is also heard on Lakeshore Public Radio 89.1 FM every Sunday at 7 p.m., also streaming live at lakeshorepublicradio.org and is available on Lakeshore Public Radio's website as a podcast. Our spotlight interviews are also heard Wednesdays on Lakeshore Public Radio. Thanks again to Greg Kovach, WVLP station manager, and Tom Maloney, vice president of radio operations for Lakeshore Public Radio. Our theme music is by Billy Foster with a vocal by Renee Foster. Art in the Air is supported by an Indiana Arts Commission Arts Project Grant and the National Endowment for the Arts. Underwriters for Art in the Air, Walt Breidinger of Paragon Investments and Mary Levan, Arts Patron. Art in the Air is always looking for financial support. We'd like to thank our current supporters. If you're looking to support Art in the Air, Esther and I especially would invite you to become an underwriter of this program in particular. We have information on our website at breck.com/AOTA. You can find out support information there. So don't just be an Art on the Air listener. Become a supporter or underwriter in whatever amount you're able to do so we continue to bring you this great content and this great local programming. And like I say every week, don't give till it hurts. Give till it feels good. And you'll feel so good about supporting Art on the Air. Information about Art on the Air is available at our website, breck.com/AOTA. That's Breck, BRECH.com/AOTA. That includes a complete show archive, spotlight interviews, plus our show is available on multiple podcast platforms, including NPR One. Please like us on Facebook, Art on the Air, WVLP, for information about upcoming shows and interviews. If you're interested in being a guest or sending us information about your arts-related event or exhibit, please email us at aota@breck.com. That's aota@breck, BRECH.com, or contact us through our Facebook page. Your hosts were Larry Breckner and Esther Golden, and we invite you back next week for another episode of Art on the Air.
Aloha, everyone. Have a splendid week.
Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. You're in the know with Esther and Larry. Art on the Air today. Stay in the know with Larry and Esther. Art on the Air our way. Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. Express yourself through art and show the world